This is for the animal lovers, book lovers, and animal artists looking for guidebooks or pretty inspirational animal art tomes. This collection of books will make you want to put down your phone and start painting, drawing, or sculpting your favorite animals right now. These are all of my most loved books that have helped me learn how to sculpt, paint, or draw all sorts of animals over the years, or just inspired me to spend more time creating something. Making animal art is so recharging, and so I hope these books inspire you too. There's just something about the Morpho books that inspire you to stop scrolling and grab a pencil instead, and Morpho Mammals is no exception. Just as with the other books in this series, this one is focused more on morphology instead of traditional anatomy, so it focuses more on form and structure rather than individual muscle groups. I find this approach makes learning animal drawing, sculpting, or painting a lot easier for a beginner, as this helps you train yourself how to see what you're trying to make. For example, how the author breaks down a drawing into basic shapes and lines is similar to how a sculptor constructs a wireframe armature and begins bulking out the basic shapes. This book also makes imaginative art easier, as you'll have memorized the basic structures that work for different mammals or mammal-like fantasy animals. If you're struggling to learn animal anatomy for art, this book might make things a lot easier for you. Once you've read Morpho Mammals, I'd recommend checking out Anatomy Drawing School Animal. This book introduces anatomy, teaching you the different bone structures and muscle groups for horses, dogs, cats, pigs, and cows in a friendly way. It also offers notes on very beginner-friendly biomechanics, like what sort of movements horses can or can't do. The diagrams are stylized, but they're stylized in a way that draws attention to the three-dimensional forms of the different muscle groups, helping you think about what anatomy looks like from different angles. I find this really helpful, especially when I'm sculpting. I think this book offers a lot of value for beginners while still offering enough detail for advanced artists to reference years later. It doesn't provide a lot of in-depth explanation, but I share one that does in just a few minutes. Modeling and Sculpting Animals by Edouard Lanteri is a book that's showing its age, yet I find it so fascinating to see what's changed and what hasn't changed in animal art over the past 100 years. Keep in mind this book is mostly focused on a few mammals that are key to a lot of mythology, symbolism, and ideology, such as the lion. It's also written mostly for realism sculptors, but if you keep that all in mind, I find the advice about figuring out animal proportions, working from life, the value of references, and how to study anatomy rather helpful. There's also interesting tips on how to scale up larger sculptures or how to cast and mold animal sculptures in materials you can still obtain today. The molding chapter helped me a lot when I was teaching myself how to mold and cast my animal sculptures. An Atlas of Animal Anatomy by Ellenberger is a keystone of my animal art book collection. There are anatomy charts for horses, dogs, cattle, lions, goats, deer, monkeys, seals, squirrels, bats, and rabbits. By far, the best and most numerous charts are for the horse, lion, dog, and cattle. These are also the more accurate charts, as they were all drawn by a veterinary illustrator for medical publication, so they are technically hyper-detailed and have aged the best. Because it's just charts, I consider this purely a visual reference book. It is the one I keep coming back to as I make my own art projects, and I find it immensely helpful for building armatures for sculptures and working out correct animal proportions. Pair this with something like the Morpho and Anatomy Drawing School books, and you'll be set. Speaking of books with detailed anatomy information, Animal Anatomy for Artists: The Elements of Form by Eliot Goldfinger is by far my favorite for learning specific bones and muscles, how they attach, and what they do. I found the info comparable to my veterinary anatomy books, but it's written in an easier to read way and there's notes about what matters to artists. There's also more diversity of the mammals, with skeletons and muscle diagrams for animals like elephants, marine life, tapirs, apes, hippos, camels, and more. Like the other books, most of the charts are dedicated to horses, cows, dogs, and lions, but there's a good bit more reference for animals like bison and giraffe than the other books I've found so far. Something special about this book is that it includes a bit of bird anatomy, which I've found lacking in many books that address animals. This book has been helping a lot with my animal sculptures, and if you're ready to advance your animal anatomy knowledge and propel your art details to another level, this book is a must for you. How to Sculpt a Horse with Polymer Clay by Janine is an in-depth step-by-step guide that should be inspiring for anyone who wants to learn how to sculpt for the very first time. It also offers detailed guidance on what is, let's admit, probably one of the hardest animals to create, and this book will guide you gently. While it's written for polymer clay, I think most of the techniques would transfer nicely to other clay media. If you're working in polymer clay, there's a lot of advice and solutions for common struggles like properly conditioning the clay, mixing different brands of polymer clays, baking, avoiding burning, and painting. Yet, what I love most about this book is that the author included lots of her own photos that she took specifically with sculpture and anatomy in mind. Combined with her anatomy notes and drawing overlays, I find this section of the book alone makes it worth its weight in gold. While technically not an art instruction book, the Horse Conformation Handbook by Heather Thomas completely changed my animal art, especially my sculpture. Horse conformation is almost like morphological anatomy study, where every guide helps create a healthy, happy, free-moving animal. So it's a standard used by breeders and show judges alike. As an artist, it's another interesting way to look at anatomy and to understand the advantages or consequences of certain conformation. This is something I pay close attention to in my realism art especially, because when I want to sculpt a healthy animal, I want it to actually look like a healthy animal. While it's focused on horses, I find this book is changing how I look at other four-legged animals, especially herbivores. So I think you would find it an interesting read even if you're not a horse artist. Moving on to the inspirational or coffee table style books. Here is Dinosaur art by Steve White. Featuring the work of 10 artists using a variety of media, this showcases a range of styles from photorealistic to very stylistic. There's everything from dinosaurs in super immersive landscapes to portraits. I also really love that there are concept sketches and rough workups, as this was so invaluable for my younger self to see that even the sketches of professional artists can have a lot of squiggly lines and they can still make highly detailed final works if they want to. Getting to see how various artists brainstorm, concept, and develop their work is always beneficial to other artists, I think, so definitely check this out. I have to admit, for a hot second, I seriously entertained the thought of pursuing a scientific illustration career with a focus on paleontological art because of this book, The Paleoart of Julius Csotonyi. When I read this as a kid, I was a photography-obsessed teen, beginning to realize I was actually a multimedia artist, and Csotonyi's work was a big help in realizing that. I was so enthralled with his photo manipulation skills and the fact that he could also draw and paint. Getting to see how his drawing impacted both his digital painting and his photo composites made me resolve to finally get good at drawing and take myself seriously as an artist, not just as a photographer. It also helped me to see that his early sketches could also be rough and squiggly. It taught me to trust the process and that there's room for imperfection in the process, even for ultra-realism artists. Aside from its hyper-realistic beauty, the behind-the-scenes insight is why I think you should check out this book. While technically not an art book, and instead a paleontological reference book, Prehistoric Flying Reptiles by Peter Wellnhofer is pretty enough to fit here. When someone says expert watercolor or gouache illustrations, this is some of what I think of. As a lover of ancient animals, this book was solely responsible for shoving aside my childhood dinosaur fascination in favor of a complete and total pterosaur obsession. In fact, I think I love pterosaurs more than dinosaurs even now, and you can blame this book. This is out of print, but I found copies do come out for a reasonable price on the used market. Also, if you're interested in a more current book, the Princeton Field Guide to Pterosaurs is a nice companion to this one. Both of these books are helping me plan my first pterosaur sculpture. Horses by Yann Arthur-Bertrant is both a gorgeous example of photography and a wonderful collection of horse breeds from around the world, with many of the pages dedicated to rare breeds. This is the book that helped me fall in love with the Criollo horses of South America and the Amazigh horses of North Africa. The photographer in me loves the attention and dedication to lighting, and the sculptor in me loves how that light brings out the form of these animals. If you want to find a copy of any of these books, I have them all listed below so you can find them from your favorite retailers. If you'd like to see more of my favorite art books, check out this video next, and if you want to see my own animal art, visit my channel. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!